trusting the process of self growth. We have been talking about growth, doubting, self doubting, consistency, coming out of the comfort zone on a daily basis. But today, I want you to try something new with me. Now, for that, I would request all of you to close your eyes for a moment. Yes. And now, think about, just imagine that a plant is growing. But can you actually see it happening? Just imagine. Can you watch the roots stretch deeper or the stem grow taller minute by minute? So just imagine that. And now you can open your eyes. And I'm sure none of you saw that happening. Actually, in real time. Yet somehow, those tiny seeds become a magnificent tree. Now, that's exactly what I want to talk about today. That is trusting the process of growth, especially when we can't see it happening. Let's say, have you ever planted something and checked onto it every single day? Maybe you even dug it up once or twice just to make it sure that something was happening inside or not, isn't it? So that is our level of curiosity. I remember when my niece Priya planted her first sunflower seed. She was so excited that she watered it 3 times a day and kept poking the soil to see if anything was happening. And after a week, with no visible sprout, she came to me with the saddest face and said, I think my seed is broken. And we adults do the same thing with our own growth, don't we? We start a new habit, learn a new skill, work on ourselves in some way, and then we expect to see the results right away. And when we don't, we think something's wrong. But here's the amazing truth: the most important growth happens underground, out of sight. Let's take another example. When you're learning to play an instrument, there's a point when you seem stuck. You practice and practice. The sound's exactly the same. And then suddenly, one day your fingers just know where to go. Your brain was growing new connections the whole time. You just couldn't see it. Or think about learning maths. Something you struggle with a concept for days, feeling completely lost. Then suddenly, click. It makes perfect sense. Sometimes we feel, oh, I got the answer to that particular question in my dream. So the understanding was building all along. You just couldn't measure it. Yes, it was hidden. This is why patience isn't just waiting. Patience is actually our superpower. It's trusting that things are happening even when we can't see them. So I would say the hardest part of the growth is what I call The silent middle. Yeah. The beginning is exciting. You're all fired up, motivated, full of dreams. The end is rewarding. You can see the finish line and feel proud of how far you've come. But that middle part, that's where the real magic and the real challenge happens. Last year, my friend Mohit, he decided to get healthier. The first 2 weeks, he was pumped up. 5 pounds right away, just lost them. But then came week three, four, and five with no change on the scale. Nothing. Zero. So he told me, am I doing everything right? I feel so, but nothing's happening. I asked him how he felt, and he admitted that he felt more energy. He slept better. His clothes fit differently, but the scale wasn't moving. But yes, his body was definitely changing. And 6 months later, he ran his first 5,000-meter race. The scale hadn't been telling him the whole story. So sometimes the universe works on us in silence. So during those quiet times when nothing seems to be happening, that's when we are often growing the most. Think about a caterpillar in a cocoon. From the outside, that cocoon looks completely still. Nothing appears to be happening. But inside, it's literally turning into soup before rebuilding itself into something entirely new. The biggest transformation happens in the quietest ways. So, when you feel stuck or like nothing is changing, remember the cocoon. Trust the silence. The story isn't over. It's just at that important middle chapter. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes we make when trying to grow, thinking we need to take giant leaps. Okay, raise your hand if you have ever made a New Year resolution, like I'm going to exercise for an hour every single day, or I'm going to read 50 books this year. Let me see who makes New Year resolutions. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, everyone. Right? But what happens to them after a few days? Right? Did they actually work? Yes? No. Yeah. So big goals are actually wonderful, but they can feel so overwhelming when we never start or we quit after 2 days. So then after 2 days, we say, oh, New Year resolutions are made to be broken. So that's just, you can say, hiding our own embarrassment. But here's the secret: the most powerful growth comes from tiny steps taken consistently. Yes, consistency is the key for growth. There's a girl named Jasmine in my neighborhood who wanted to write a book. She was 12 years old and got stuck thinking she needed to write pages and pages every day. And so she kept putting it off because it felt too big. It was so overwhelming for her. Then one day her teacher suggested something different. Just write one sentence every day, just one sentence. That felt so small that Jasmine couldn't say no. So some days she wrote exactly one sentence, but many days, once she wrote that first sentence, she found herself writing two, then a paragraph, and then a page. And a year later, Jasmine had 100-page story, not from massive writing sessions, but from small, consistent steps that added up. So this works for just about anything and everything: learning, healing, growing, or changing habits. If you want to get better at maths, do three problems every day. Want to be more patient? Practice taking three deep breaths before responding just once a day. And if you want to be kinder, do one small act of kindness each morning. Because these tiny actions might seem too small to matter, but they are like water dripping on a stone. One drop doesn't do much, but steady drops, day after day, they can carve through the mountains. Now, I would like us to do something special together. I want you to imagine yourself like 100 days from now, or let's say 120 days, because that's about 4 months. Picture yourself after 4 months of small, consistent steps towards whatever growth matters most to you right now. And if you have paper and something to write with, great. If not, you can do this mentally or use your phone's notes app. So I would say write a letter to yourself 120 days from now. And in this letter, what you have to keep in mind: congratulate yourself for the small steps you've taken consistently. Number two, describe how you feel having trusted the process for 120 days. Three, notice the changes that might not show on the outside, but that you can feel within yourself. And number four, thank yourself for having patience during the silent times when it seemed like nothing was happening. So just make sure that these four aspects must be part of the letter. So this is something, you can do after the session, but just write it down and keep it in a safe place. And even, I don't want lengthy letters. It's just few sentences is fine, right? Just get your thoughts flowing and let's see the magic unfold after 120 days. So just but once you finish the letter, read it again, see how your journey unfolded, see all these four aspects are there, and I'm sure after 120 days, we'll keep a session for just reading out those letters. Let's see how that magic happens, right? So, see, remember that metaphor. A seed doesn't grow into a tree overnight. Trust the rain, trust the sun, and trust the time. And you are that seed with everything you need already inside you. Some days will bring rain, challenges that feel uncomfortable, but that water your roots. Some days will bring sunshine, moments of clarity and joy that energize you. And every day brings time, the steady, unstoppable force that allows miracles to unfold at exactly the right pace. And the most beautiful part, you don't have to force the growth. You simply need to create the conditions, those small daily steps, and then trust. Trust the process when it's silent. Trust the process when it's slow. And trust the process when you can't see the changes yet. As a whole, trust yourself. You are you. Because one day you look back and realize how far you have come. Not in dramatic leaps, but in faithful steps. So, my call to you today is very simple. Choose one area where you want to grow. Identify one tiny step you can take every day, and then make a promise to yourself to honor that small step and to trust the unfolding of your beautiful become. The oak tree doesn't rush, and neither does the rose, and neither should you. That, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today.